This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the XNC Podcast live. It's November 1st. We are almost done with the year 2021. This is the XNC Podcast. I'm Colteastwood, and I'm here live on the channel with, oh no, it's Alex. How you doing, Alex?
What's up, brother, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. There's a lot to talk about, and we were talking pre-show while we're getting ready to roll things up about the crazy life of being content creators on YouTube.
It sucks.
And like, we've been doing this for a while, and sometimes you have some great moments, sometimes you don't. But lately, you've been having every week you've had some videos where you've been getting a lot of attention. A lot of
yeah, that's a nice
attention.
way of putting it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So before we get into that, we will get into that. But this is the XNC Podcast. This is a live show on the Colteastwood channel. I'm Colteastwood, the host. And, of course, here with, oh no, it's Alex. And we are on the Colteastwood channel, but we also have this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Podcasts, and a couple other platforms. If you want to listen to this on demand after the fact, and when the show wraps, I will toil and work my way to get timestamps on this video. So if you want to skip ahead, I'll actually give you a projection, you guys, what is coming. And welcome to the show. If you think you're going to have a good time, hit the like button. But what we're going to talk about today is, of course, Sega's partnership, or Sega's, what do they call it? Extravaganza. They had a funny word with the strategery.
Oh, is that it?
They said like a strategery of Sega partnership with Microsoft and Azure. We'll get into that. We're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about what's going on with Game Pass, Guardians of the Galaxy, Halo, and the PC in all the best ways.
Okay. Oh, that's why I'm here today. Okay.
Yeah. So big shout out to you. A little over 250 people who are rolling in here to the show. Alex, what have you been playing this week? What's been keeping you entertained?
Okay. All right. So I'm playing a very, very strange game. Anyone who's not used to my channel, I have a very fond love affair with two specific publishers. One of them being Devolver Digital, and the other one being New Blood. So pretty much anything those two guys and gals put out, I'm immediately attracted to. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm just a 90s kid, and they really sort of like hone in on exactly what I want to see. And so there's one game specifically I've been playing. It's called Inscription. And Inscription is a horror-based card game. And so you ever play a game, you ever play like The Room or go to an escape room?
Right, yeah, I have. I've done that before.
Okay. So you're trapped in a cabin with your captor, and you're forced to play a card game as he teaches you the card game, and you have to start sacrificing your cards to earn mana. You ever play Magic the Gathering?
No, I haven't. I know a little bit about it, but is this a game in like, is it kind of like a viewpoint like the Witcher card game, or like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's that viewpoint, right? So you're seeing the board, the deck, specifically what's going on. And so you're sacrificing cards to gain mana to then summon more cards. But then weird stuff starts happening. The cards start talking to you.
Really?
Yeah.
And who makes this game?
This is actually done by the guy who did Pony Island. You ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, it's Daniel Mullins. It's one guy.
Okay.
And Pony Island is a game about you playing an arcade machine that is trying to find the right way to put this, is possessed by Satan. That's Pony Island. That's Pony Island.
Okay.
And so I know the green screen's not working. It's on purpose.
Covering up the project behind him or something. Yeah,
I am. And so in Inscription, you're almost doing the same thing. You're trapped with this captor. He's making you play a card game, and every time you lose to him, he takes a photo of you and he captures your soul on the camera and he turns you into a card. But the game becomes more demented. You almost have to like, it's almost a tug of war. So you have 5 points of health, and you can come back from having only 1 point of health to then win the game or win the match. But the thing is, they use teeth, gold teeth, to count the points of who has the most points.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So there's one ability. I don't know if ability is an item that you can literally, it's a pair of pliers, and you pull out a tooth from your own mouth to then put onto his side, to then, if you need 1 point to win, you can use that. Right.
Oh
and so
gosh.
as you're playing this card game, he's also a dungeon master. So he's narrating to you what actually happens. And so as you go through the game, there is a roguelike or roguelite element to the encounters you get, the cards you get, the deck you build. So it's always random. And then you go through it. As you go through the end, you get to weird things like you stab your eye out and then you replace it with another eye that lets you see things. You start going around the cabin in the room and you start tinkering and moving things and opening codes to get specific cards, or you're solving puzzles in the room while you're playing this murderous card game. And then when you beat the first act, act 2 becomes almost like Pokemon, but it also breaks the fourth wall. So you start seeing videos of like the person you're playing as finding out about the Inscription game, finding these weird cards in the woods, like all this weird stuff that starts happening. And the game just starts evolving and becoming this really fourth wall breaking, weird, sort of like wild, like what is happening? You're always questioning what's going on kind of game, all wrapped around a very good card-based game. So that's what I've been playing.
Wow.
It's wild. I think it's only on PC right now.
Okay.
But check it out. It's like $20. Let me see how much it is right now on Steam.
I'm like a lot of people in the chat are like playing like all the mainstream games, and you're pulling out like the most obscure gems from the Steam library.
Let me tell you about a game called Ultra Kill.
There's a couple of I saw a couple jokes in the chat, and one comes from Haryut Chani with the $5 super chat. He says, "Pony Island only on arcade, no PlayStation." Yeah, I can see how that would be hell for ponies. Like people are saying, they should call it the Pegasus Nation. As the game they made. Well, Alex, what do you think of Pegasus Nation? You've been watching this from the bushes, right? Just kind of.
Yeah, just kind of peeking in. I'll jump into their Twitter Spaces every now and then just to see what they're saying, and then they know I'm there. And then they'll like, I don't like, what's funny is like with the content I make, I don't really have any people that are like vehemently mad at me, which is really interesting. I would figure that people would like hate me, but it's really not the case. I guess it's because I kind of poke everybody, I guess. I don't know.
And you're, you are pretty respectful. Like you do say nice things about the people you're about to lambaste.
I don't personally go after them.
Right.
I go after their concepts and ideas. I'd rather do that. Yeah. Right. And so I think only one person has blocked me. Maybe two. Wow. No, two people. Two people have blocked me on Twitter.
I mean, I have seen some people upset. It's funny because I'll see you have like a snarky reaction on Twitter, and I'll look and it says, quoted tweet is unavailable to me because they have me blocked. Alex, have you noticed there's been a new the Pegasus Nation thing is growing. Like it's this force that cannot be stopped.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, we have a good laugh over it, but I've noticed lately that a lot of people have been blocking Xbox fans as they celebrate some of the stuff that's been going on this part of the year has been really good for Xbox, which we're going to get into. But have you noticed like a lot of people have been sharing that they've been blocked by the big accounts that you've been going after in your videos? Have you seen this yet?
I haven't seen anyone like go around and like parading that they're blocking someone on my end. And I live a very my Twitter timeline can be very dramatic, I think would be the best way to put it. If you follow me, you may have seen. I like to use a lot of memes, but the memes can be skewed towards the older audience and can be a little risque sometimes. So some people may not.
The SpongeBob, like the SpongeBob stuff.
One,
yeah. It is kind of interesting. I've had my hands in the console war for a while and kind of gotten out of it a little bit and back in. I like to go in when it's convenient, but I have noticed that some of the PlayStation guys are getting. I mean, there's when we say PlayStation guys, we're talking about like the real small minority, like the little group there that doesn't have anything better to do, and there's the guys on the Xbox that do the same, but they're getting really mad because it's been really positive for Xbox lately, and they're kind of having a hard time taking that right now because PlayStation's been so dominant, and right now Xbox is doing really cool stuff. Let's talk about the Game Pass editions, and there's actually been some pretty big games that have either won Game of the Year or could win Game of the Year, and I'm going to list these out, and we're going to go by these real quick. One of them I'm really interested to hear your take, because I haven't had you on the show since we talked about this game, but the very first one they showed, I've got it on screen here, is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is coming to Game Pass, which is the Series X version, you know, or whichever you're on. If you have Game Pass, whatever console you have, you get the best version. So you're getting this like this 4K 60 remaster or up-res version. What's your take on, like, this is one of my favorite games ever, but I wanted to hear your opinion on this remaster, this up-res.
Do you really want to hear my opinion on this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know that the community's like, it seems like the community's split right in half. They're like, screw that. And then I'm on the side like, I just want to own this game because, I don't know, I just want to have the trilogy.
I have a few problems with this game.
Go ahead, man.
Problems with the trilogy. One, the games that are on Steam right now are like the mobile versions of those previous titles.
Yes, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing. So we're not even getting the like original version that we could have from prior time. Additionally, Rockstar has been sending out. I'm trying to say the right thing. Rockstar has been sending out
cease and
desists. Yes.
Yeah.
To modders, in fact, of San Andreas, Vice City, and GTA 3. Of, you know, you're not going to be doing this anymore. They've been pursuing legal action, I think, is the best course of action. On top of that, on the PC side, they are going to be instilling the Rockstar Social Club. So you're going to have basically always online DRM for those versions as well. And then you're not going to be able to mod them. And then they're suing the modders. And then they're charging.
And they pulled down the mods, right?
And then they pulled down the PC versions that were the mobile versions from Steam, so you can't buy those, so you can't mod those unless you go other routes. So
why can't you mod this new trilogy remaster?
I'm wondering if this is the way it's designed right now, and just its integration with the Social Club.
So dumb.
Yeah. Plus, I think suing all the modders would definitely make people not want to mod that game.
Right. I mean, they've spent decades making those versions, like all the things they've done for them.
Yeah, and so you've also seen like the modded version comparative to the remaster, and you're like, well, the modded version still looks better, which is even crazier in my opinion. And I don't know, man. I like, what aren't they saying that the console versions won't have physical copies until like later on in the year?
Yeah, a month later. Yeah, a month later. Yeah, I don't know why. It
just feels very on the PC side. On the consumer standpoint, I'm not really liking the things that Rockstar and 2K are doing in terms of community.
Is it Take-Two or is it Rockstar or is it both of them that are kind of doing
a combination of both?
Yeah, I feel like we love Rockstar, and I feel like they just don't do themselves any favors. Like, they have such a great audience. Like, people love their stuff, and they sit there on Red Dead and they haven't patched it for the new consoles. They have this online component, which is like the ultimate motivator to get the game up-res and sell more copies on the new consoles to get it 60. Alex, I'm not going to play games at 30. We're going to get into that also later.
You've joined.
Oh my God. Oh, I mean, come on now. I mean, when you first knew of me, I was playing mostly on PC, and I was getting tired of the problems I was going through, but I refused to play at 30 back then. And then when I got back on console, like, you didn't have a choice.
You didn't.
And now every new game that comes out has a 60 FPS mode except for the medium, right? I mean, they're really, you don't have to. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but let me talk about these other games.
Sure.
I don't know if you played this, but It Takes Two came out in February or March of 21, and now it's on Game Pass. It could be Game of the Year. Have you played this?
I have not. My wife does not like video games.
Okay,
So
yeah,
I
I
need
know
to
how
find a
that
friend.
feels. Yeah. I played it with Dealer Gaming for a little bit, and then I ended up playing it with my son, who's
Shout out to
11,
Dealer.
and we. Shout out to Dealer. He was in the chat here. It Takes Two is phenomenal. It's this third-person action-adventure game that never repeats the same mechanic twice. It just always does something new. And then Forza Horizon 5 is coming, which is a massive game. And then there's some other ones. Football Manager is like big in the UK. That's like a soccer manager game.
Yeah.
It's really big, really big. But for like North American people that don't play a lot of soccer, we're like One Step from Eden and Minecraft. Minecraft, like the game that should be free. Yeah, Minecraft, the PC version of Minecraft.
The Bedrock edition, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think Minecraft is $20, or always has been. I bought it on PC for 20 like 4 years ago, but it's on Game Pass. But yeah, people are getting pretty excited about that. But I mean, I don't even know if do you use Game Pass on PC?
Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I don't. I think there's a lot of issues with Game Pass on PC right now. I think Microsoft really has to step it up, because after Games for Windows Live, there's a lot of, let's say, distrust with Microsoft and the PC community. So I think specific things need to change in order for Game Pass on PC to really take off. The first thing I would think would be to have I know right now certain games are console Game Pass and PC has to wait for PC Game Pass. So combining those two things together so that way there isn't like a disparity between the two, I think would be good. Mm-hmm. I'd like the console Game Pass version to also be priced at $9.99 like PC gamers get. So that way there isn't like a price disparity either.
Yeah.
I think the biggest concern for me are two specific things. Well, maybe three. The app itself does not work correctly most of the time. It either has issues downloading. It's got some concerns with just keeping itself updated, memory resource management, memory leaks, things along that nature, just administrative stuff that happens. You're not able to play games unless you're using an Xbox X input controller. So you'll have to, So if you use any other controller that is not X input, like this bad boy right here that I'm the only one who has. That won't work at all? It won't work at all unless you run something specific where either you make the desktop version of Steam, run it through an X input interface, or you download an X360 interface plugin that will take a direct input and convert it to X input to trick the game you've got a 360 controller. It's so super weird. It's super weird.
You really should be able to plug in a DualShock 4 or 5 if you want to.
Play it. Yeah. And then finally, it's just
hate that stuff.
It's UWP is the last thing for me.
Okay.
The locking off of game files, not having them run in x86 or 64-bit processes, and just having to do all these weird things to get into the game if I want to mod it, even though I have Game Pass on it, just getting into the files if I need to for specific reasons, whatever the case may be. It feels like it's like, oh, here you go, but it's like restrictive at the same time. So I think those things specifically would really make Game Pass on PC better. But I would love for you guys to not have to pay $15 a month and pay 10 instead.
You mean 15 gets, Hargit Johnny said in the chat, he said Game Pass is $10 on console, and I think it's $10 on PC, but the 15 is the ultimate, which gets you Xbox Live Gold plus xCloud.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I know when you're talking about those things,
not having to have Live or like Gold and that, just the $10. I don't know. It's just I'm just speaking things into existence, right?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, because some of the complaints you have with Game Pass PC, still are the same carryovers from the Windows PC, the game store. Mm-hmm. Like I would download Gears 4 and then it wouldn't download. Like I used to have those problems, and they said they're working on those. They need to figure out who to talk to, the right people. You need to talk to the PC gamers about that.
Can I interject one quick thing? I just saw this in the chat. It just clicked in my mind. EA, if you play any EA game from Xbox Game Pass, you have to download EA Live, I think it's called, or another EA app, even if you already have Origin. And then you don't get Xbox achievements, even though you're getting it through Game Pass But what you're doing is you're running
because you're playing it through Origin,
and you're playing it through EA's client. It's such a weird, like, I think it should all be together. And it's like, just put it together, and I don't have to worry about any other app or program. I can just pop it in and go. I think that's another thing too.
Wouldn't that be nice? Like, I just want that's why people play most of their games on their one preferred platform, because they want to cultivate their library and their accomplishments and their trophies or their stickers or whatever it is, or those little. I have all these Steam icon things that I loaded up, and now I don't really do anything with them. But
you don't do anything with them at all. Don't worry.
No, you don't. Like, you could sell them.
So, like, I've made quite a bit of money selling cards. So as you play Steam games, you get cards, and sometimes
that's what I was talking about.
Stuff like that. And I've sold a couple for a couple of bucks, and just over time, I've bought games just by selling cards on the marketplace. I don't know if you know, or if your chat knows, I'm a big fan of this little game called Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
All right.
I've got about maybe 1,200 hours in that game. I have a problem. I have a big problem. Please don't go down this rabbit hole. A little game I like to play is called Dota 2. I've got about 200 hours in that game.
And that one's free, right?
They're both free.
Yeah.
They're both free.
Yeah. Global Offensive is free. Yeah.
And so you get skins for your guns, which you get either from cases, which you pay $250 to open up, and you get that skin, or you just get it from drops, which you can then combine 10 of that item of skin color and then just rarity, and then you can upgrade it through a trade up contract. And so I've unboxed a knife skin that got me around $400.
Jeez.
Yeah. I unboxed a knife skin. I was like, oh, it looks pretty good. Let me see what it sells for. Sold for $400, and then I put it on the market. It's sold for $400, and I just use that to buy games.
It's funny, like the chat, like, it's funny, like, some of the most popular games, like, people will go, oh, that's not that great. That's not a good game. But some of the most popular games are games that are, like, not in the mainstream. My son was telling me about how Roblox was down for 60 or 80 hours, and it's like one of the biggest games on the planet.
It is.
But let's move into. You've got some content coming up, but we got to talk about this absolute bomb that dropped on the gaming community this past week. PlayStation PC. Can you tell me? Can you tell the audience, like, how this, like, came into your life and what it did to you? Because this was a big moment that I feel like the PlayStation fans have been hearing about for 3 or 4 years, and they're just like, ha la 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 la.
Just fingers in their ears about the whole thing.
Yeah. They weren't ready for this.
It kind of reminds me of what Xbox fans went through, like 2015 or 2016, was it?
2016, yeah.
The same kind of, like, they'll never do day one, and then they're like, and then day one comes, or like they'll never put it on PC, just stuff like that. And I think it's just the same process, right? We're looking at companies who are very direct in their revenue generation. We're looking at companies that want to make money. We're looking at companies that are not happy with the current amount of revenue that they are making compared to what they could be making. And Matt Piscatella put out a tweet, and he said something like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like 20% of PC gamers have a PS4, but only 8% of PC gamers own a PS5. And so we're talking about 3/4 of a market that doesn't have a PlayStation 4 and 92% of a market that doesn't have a PS5. And I'm not going to say, like, oh, PC gamers won't buy consoles. Some obviously will for whatever reason they want to, but many PC gamers, including myself, I don't see the need for a console because the games I like to play aren't on there, or the things I like to do really don't benefit me in a console space. So there's going to be gamers like myself who are just never going to do that, never going to spend $500 for 1 or 2 games. And there are gamers that may or may not, but Sony and Xbox or Microsoft are looking at it like, if we make our revenue back on the software and our hardware is a loss leader, because that's usually what happens due to R&D, production, logistics, all that kind of stuff. How do we make more money without having to produce more physical product? Well, we could just put it on PC. And that's pretty much it, right? And in my opinion, and I might get some pushback for this, I feel that putting your game on PC, whether it's day and date, whether it's a year or two from now, is not going to cannibalize the console market or the console sales, because I feel they're two very distinct markets and they're very different, because I feel there are many console gamers who just will not game on PC. They're happy with the console experience.
Yeah, I got
a PC gamers who will just who will be like, I don't want a console. And
yeah, they're very different people, because they're very different types of gamers. And that's funny. Jose Gutierrez in the chat says, I remember Colton Dealer making videos complaining about the same thing PlayStation fans are complaining about. It's funny because Jose Gutierrez, I guess he hasn't watched my channel very long, but this is funny because you remember the date. You said 2016, Alex. Mm-hmm. In 2016, Quantum Break was about to come out, and I remember so specifically. I was playing the Crew. Remember that game? Mm-hmm. I played the Crew on Xbox. It was garbage. I got it like on Humble Bundle for $1 on PC, and they just updated it, and it runs at 60. It looks amazing on my PC, and I heard about this news about Quantum Break going to PC day and date, and my reaction, I did a video that like 200 people watched back then, but I did a video saying, this is awesome. My game share buddy on Xbox, he can have the Xbox version, and I can take the PC code for Quantum Break. And then if I want to go play it on Xbox, I can play it there, and he shares with me on Steam, so like we can play the game wherever we want. Like, this is amazing. This is what they should have been doing. And the funny thing that like people like Jose haven't like paid attention to what's been going on for a long time. Alex, Xbox has been putting almost all of their games on PC for 20 years. Like, it would be very difficult to go back and say, well, Halo 5 isn't on there. They didn't put Sunset Overdrive. Now it's on there. Let me try and think of the games that never went to PC. Like,
I mean, there were games like Microsoft had a division specifically designed back in the day. We're old. That were just make PC games, Age of Empires, Dungeon Siege, specifically games designed for PC, and they were a big PC gaming market, right? And so they were making PC games. Black and White is another one, I think, off the top of my head. Just stuff like that. And even Sony's put games on PC. Has anyone ever heard of EverQuest? That's a Sony game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sony Interactive Entertainment is EverQuest. So we're looking at like these markets have been around for a long time. And the thing is, a lot of companies just want to make sure that they are either in the black or they're on the way to the black in terms of revenue. And so they're going to do what they can to satiate the consumer's needs. And some consumers just have different needs than others. And that's okay. Like there isn't.
Do you remember when Sean Layden said a couple of years ago, I don't know if you followed all this stuff, but a couple of years ago, maybe almost 3 years ago, Sean Layden said something to the effect of AAA exclusives or blockbuster games are not sustainable, and Phil Spencer kind of said the same thing. It's not sustainable to build a AAA exclusive, and everyone kind of worried like, what does that mean? But now we're seeing that they've been looking at the numbers, like we're spending more to make games. And then Jim Ryan said 20 million of God of War sales is not enough, and that just like blew the skull off
That's shocking to me. 20 million is not enough. Like imagine that, right? $60 a pop for 20 million copies.
That's amazing. That's amazing numbers for any like big game. Like a big Ubisoft game. It would be super happy to get 20 million. I got to grab a couple super chats before we get into this PC thing with PlayStation.
I got another beer, so you're good.
We got Scott Woodford, who's right. Hey, do what you got to do, right?
Okay, great.
Scott Woodford, thank you so much for the $5. He said, I still mod GTA 5 and nothing happens. Alex, what's going to go on? Like, because in a year from now, they're going to remaster GTA 5 for the 19th time. Do you think they're going to start ceasing to desist the Thomas the Train mods on GTA 5?
So it's not using the mod that's causing the cease and desist. It's the creators of the mods that's causing that.
I mean, are they making money on this?
The modders, no.
Then what is the problem?
It's not their intellectual property.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
That's really what it is. It's IP law. That's
Bring in the lawyers.
And so but Bethesda doesn't do it because Bethesda, I'm going to get some hot water. can't make a game that works day one, so they're going to have the modders rely on that to fix a lot of those problems. It looks.
Hey, no, it's well known that there are bugs in Bethesda games, but I think one of the things that benefits with the modding community more is that the modders make the Bethesda games so much more
shine.
Yeah, like they like bring the graphics up beyond what the team could do at the time.
Forget graphics. Have you heard about Fallout Miami?
No, that sounds really cool.
That's cool.
Is
right?
it a Fallout 4 mod?
It is a Fallout 4 mod, I think, that is recreating an entire expansion in Miami specifically. There's also Fallout 4 Vegas, which is all of Fallout New Vegas recreated in Fallout 4.
I've been following that one. Yeah, that looks really cool.
Like that is ridiculous. And if you want to get like deep into modding, a little game called Stalker. That game, as broken as it is, Stalker, Call of Pripyat, and Shadow of Chernobyl are two of the most modded games I'd probably say of all PC time. Yeah, there are mods that just completely change that game front to back. It's unbelievable what that game does. I mean, I don't really recommend it for a lot of new players, but if you're looking for something like incredibly detailed in survival, and like incredibly immersive, I did make a video on that game specifically. So if you want to check it out on the channel, it's there. But it is a game that you play with the lights off. It is basically Fallout in Russia,
right?
And you are in the zone in Chernobyl. And you're trying to survive. You have to sleep. You have to eat. You have to drink vodka to stop radiation poisoning. Like all kinds of stuff. So like modding to me is so ubiquitous because you could have a game that's 20 years old, but the modding scene will be so great that game still sells because of the mods. And there's so much life brought into those games that stopping mods and stopping people from creating these things that you could then hire these people to do in your own game and have a pool of talent available for people just to choose from, I think is just, I don't know. I just feel like modding is so ubiquitous in that PC realm that I wouldn't have it any other way. I just want, like, like I said in my last video, I can't wait for Bonesaw to just replace every elf in God of War.
Bonesaw from the Spider-Man movie?
You just have him scream, "Bonesaw is ready!" You just scream that as you're fighting them. That's really all I want to see. You know,
oh my gosh. You want them to put Bonesaw on every PlayStation exclusive when it goes to PC?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to keep the dream of
Kratos for Bonesaw. If you put Bonesaw Randy Savage as Kratos, that's a 10
out of 10. Look, I didn't like God of War
2018,
but I'll give that game a 10 out of 10 if Bonesaw is the main character.
He's like, boy, Bonesaw.
He just says
that's
Bonesaw.
All he says.
Not even boy. Bonesaw is boy. That's what you replace it with.
So, Jim Ryan just like dropped this on the PlayStation fans and said, like, what does PlayStation PC mean? Because we know they hired Nixxes and everyone like dug into the details, and Nixxes is a PC porting studio. So are they going to work on some games? What does that mean, PlayStation PC? What does that mean, Alex? And where are the PC games going? Like, where's their target storefront?
It's just a rebranding. That's all it is. Right now, when you try to get a PlayStation game on Steam, it's listed as a developer as PlayStation Mobile.
Oh, okay, so if you go on Steam and grab Horizon Zero Dawn, it will instead for the publisher it'll say PlayStation PC.
So I just went to the store page of Horizon Zero Dawn right now, and right now it's been changed to PlayStation PC LLC as the publisher.
Oh wow!
It used to be mobile. It used to be PlayStation Mobile Inc. or something like that. And that's really all it is. It's just a rebranding because now it's like, okay, this game is for PC. Like mobile really didn't
mobile for though.
It just seemed like really weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why they put I think it's just simply a rebranding of what it is. And that's really it. But apparently it seems to be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. And
it's
really not true.
Do you think they're targeting Steam as their, like, that's going to be their place? Like, that'll be our home on PC? Or
I don't think they can.
Why not Epic Game Store? Like, or why not both?
They're on Epic too. They're on both.
They'll be on both? Okay.
I think they're on both right now. Yeah. Let me check.
Oh, okay. So you can get Horizon Zero Dawn on Epic as well. I thought maybe it was only on Steam. I don't look at this stuff because, you know, I already own the games. I won't rebuy them on PC, but other people will. So tell me, this is a nail in the coffin. So you did a video last week. So let's kind of go over this real quick.
Sure.
Kind of give us an explanation. Let me see here. Before we do that, I could cover this because we already fixed it. But thanks to Old Dirty Gamer who said misinformation, but we covered it. $15 for PC and console plus Xbox Live Gold. That stuff's going to change, though. I think we won't get into that but I think those things are changing. That's all fluid right now until Game Pass hits critical mass. I think Gold's going to go away. That's something we've talked about. I've been asking for Xbox Live Gold to go away for a long time. And as primarily an Xbox fan, it sounds weird to hear somebody like that say that, but it's the right thing to say. Shout out to Jake Machelin, who says, Alex, enjoy your stuff. He wrote stiff. I think he said he enjoys your stiff.
No, he meant stiff. He meant stiff, yeah.
He said, I wouldn't agree with you that your PC is a box that runs DX12. It's technically also an Xbox, also Intel or AMD. What do you have in the?
Can we segue real quick? I need to nip this in the bud.
Okay.
I don't require Windows to run games.
You don't primarily use Windows as your main operating system?
I use Windows as my main OS.
Okay.
But if I wanted to not use Windows at all, I could do that. Yeah. Not even that. I can just use Linux and Proton, which is what's going to be running off.
Like, are there? I mean, I don't want to get into that, but there are some setbacks, or there's some not setbacks. There's some limitations.
There's some quirks, I think, would be the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things just won't really work very well. Certain capture cards, things like that. But I mean, the main argument is, well, you would need DX12 to run certain games. No, I have Proton. I can use Linux if I need to, if I really didn't want to be associated with that. The storefront that I use is Steam, which Microsoft does not see a cut of. Windows is basically just an operating system. That's really all it is. It's just a shell. It's just a shelf that I can put other things in, and that's pretty much it. No penny goes to Microsoft for any piece of software that I buy. So trying to claim that a PC is an Xbox platform, I think is let me just find the right way to put it. It's not disconcerting, but I think it's also trying to find the right word. I would say probably it's not the right thing to say because it's incorrect. I think it would be the best.
What
way
to say that a PC is an Xbox?
Correct.
I just moved my camera. I don't know how that worked, but hey, all right, it worked. Yeah, I know. I hear that all the time. But you're saying like you make sure that you don't spend a dime that goes into Xbox's pockets.
Not that I don't make sure of it. I just
I mean, did you play, like, are you going to play, not everybody likes the same games, but like, are you going to play Forza Horizon 5? Are you going to play Halo Infinite? Are you going to,
I think Forza 5 would be definitely something I'm going to pick up. I never really, so I used to be into racers, but not much. But I think Forza Horizon 5 looks really good. I love Halo. I play Halo every Friday.
Right. Yeah. You've been playing through Master Chief.
But I think for me, it's not about whether or not Microsoft gets any money from me. I think it's more the fact that I don't think people should be claiming that an entire platform is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
When I don't have a single Microsoft product inside my PC.
The whole point of this whole discussion is, and it's not always all about PC, right? But the whole point is, if PlayStation or Xbox put their games on PC, they're getting a little more revenue, which they go back into making more games that go on console and now PC. So, I've never had a problem with that. Like I said back then, I was like, hey, this is cool. And it's like a train you can't stop, and it's taken a while. One more question about the exclusivity. Alex, how long until PlayStation decides, you know what, let's just launch that new game on PlayStation PC and console?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot here.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like they're being really weird about how they're easing in, right? Yeah.
Let me derail here. Darnell Hill in the chat says, "You think Windows OS is free? It actually is. Windows 10 is free. So there you go. You don't even have to pay for Windows 10."
Yeah. I mean, you can now. Is Windows still in where you can get the free version with a watermark, or is that all changed?
Got a watermark, sure.
I don't want a watermark though, Alex.
Okay, so go on.
Go get a third-party app and kill it.
Go on Kinguin and get yourself a $10 OEM code, and the watermark is gone.
That is, yeah. We talked about that when we were doing the whole PC versus console thing. Like,
Sure.
You were talking about the build, and a lot of people tried to argue with you. And that was one of the things I would easily agree with you, because I know on Kinguin, which I've checked into that site. Yeah, you can get for $10 or $12. You can get the whole of Windows for.
But back to your original point, how long do I think before day and date for PlayStation games on PC?
Yeah.
Putting me on the spot here, Colt. I'm gonna say 2024.
What? Why'd you give me a year?
That's what I think will happen.
You think it'll take a couple of years, huh? Why?
So. Right now, mostly because, the first thing I thought of was the chip shortage and the saturation point of the console for PS5. The next thing I thought of was maybe that's wrong because of the chip shortage. They may just, in fact, push that up to make it easier for them to sell the products. But I think right now, whoever's going to win this console war isn't really about going to be in terms of, software sales will have an impact on it, but I think right now it's going to be who's able to get their product out first to actually be able to be purchased, right? I think that'll be a bigger factor right now than the product. The game sales will definitely impact later on as this hopefully begins to lessen, but from what I've seen from Linus and Jay's 2 cents, that's not going to be for a couple of years. I think, though, in terms of the easing in, I think you'll start seeing the dates get closer and closer as it goes to day and date. I think that's what you'll see. And then you'll see day and date happen. And that's just going to be a matter of fact at some point. But I think 2024, if I was a betting man.
Yeah, I'm with you on I think they're going to do like an ease in. That's what I've kind of been thinking. We're kind of already seeing it. Like they grabbed Days Gone, which is only a couple years old, and threw it on there. And then God of War is 3, there's kind of no rules, right? But PlayStation PC. So tell the audience kind of what were some of the crazy hot takes that you saw? Because when something like this drops, like you
I was scoping out the old. I heard things like PC gamers only play hentai games, so we shouldn't talk to them. And I said yes, those are my games. You can't have them anymore. I think another one was which I thought it was really hilarious because when I do we've had this before, when I do my PC port reviews of certain games, I'll probably have about like 15 to 20 minutes of just going over the options and settings menu in my videos, which is absolutely ridiculous. And so one guy was like, PC Gamer's gameplay is 20 minutes of options menus. And I was like, yes, that's correct. Like 100%. I saw some other ones. People were like, I'm going to PC. I'm going to buy a PC. And I was like, no, you're not. And if you do, you're going to spend some ridiculous amount of money.
Like, didn't they already have a PC when Xbox games went to PC?
Yeah, I thought of stuff like that too. Or people were like, so you're going to wait 3 years for big releases? And I was like, yes. And then
I saw you say that. Yep.
And I was like, I'll wait 2 more for it to go, for a price drop, like.
Yeah, that was pandemonium that day. And they ran to the spaces, Alex. They were on the spaces.
I saw a 6-hour space about this.
I think there was a 6-hour one today. I don't know what they were upset about, but the spaces are crazy.
Twitter needs to cancel spaces.
Yeah, don't these guys have jobs? They're on these spaces for hours during the day on a work day.
You beat it for me.
It's so crazy. Like I can't imagine being on a spaces that long. But that they're it's kind of like their little therapy sessions. They're having fun though.
What's funny is I would jump in to a couple of them, and then and I was like, why would you be on here for 6 hours when you can just make YouTube videos and make money?
You can make $3 on YouTube.
That was the first thing I said. I was like, imagine if you took all of this talent and you didn't do it on a space, but you took the 6 hours throughout that day to actually record, edit, create content, upload it, and then share it. And there are 200 people watching this space. What if you had 200 views on your video which then grew to 500, then to 1,000, and you're actually making revenue off of the stuff you're talking about right here. What would that do for you? And everybody just went silent. And I was like, I want everyone to leave and start turning on their cameras and making content. And
first of all, the difference is, have you noticed the low effort? Like there's the people that watch other people's content and then just like type a tweet and just they want to call out somebody, and it's just like this low effort. Or someone who like tries to run my account for me or run our channels for us, but they don't want to turn on a camera. You know, I saw somebody criticize you saying all you do is turn on a camera and talk about people's tweets. I'm like,
yes. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I do. Yes.
And you said, you do that, and let's see if you can get some views. Like, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and so, you know, our audience is amazing. Like, they're like, Colt, you need to cover this piece of news in a video. And I'm thinking, man, how much time am I going to put in that right now with what's going on? But thank heavens for the people who are supporting our stuff. And we have over 700 people, 750 people here.
Wow.
If you're enjoying the channel and if you're enjoying the conversation here with Alex and I, we're going to get into this Sega thing in just a minute. Move the chat out of the way, hit the like button. We're at 300 likes. Let's get up to 500 here as we dive into the next topics. I got a couple supers that are good. You know, Bruce Lawson was nice enough to send a $2 sticker, little animated one-up sticker. It looks like a Hungry Hippo.
Thanks, man.
That's from my era. You know, and Flame with the $2 says, 20 million, mostly sold at 10 to 20 bucks. Yeah, God of War 2018 was put at a $20 price point. Not long.
20 million is 20 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. If you sold God of War for $1 and you sold 20 million copies, how much money would you have? $20 million. It's still more than selling less copies at more money. Like that's
and remember that first few months, God of War sold like 5 million copies at $60.
Yeah,
I can't do that kind of math. 5, 10, 300 million. I don't know what. $300 million, whatever it is.
It's crazy. Shout
out to Erica for the win, who's in the chat, and she's amazing. She said Colteastwood, and oh yes, it's Alex. Flame emoji, and she wrote whole slate. She's been on the whole slate for like a good month thing.
She is a masterful troll.
The nicest troll, right?
One of the best. That's like the most dangerous one, because you're like, oh, she's so nice, and then you're like just getting demolished 100%. But that is my internet wife. So
right, yeah,
my wife.
I've had her on the show. Down the line, we'll get both of you on the show and see what kind of crazy things are going to happen. But yeah, she's pretty awesome. Shout out to her. And we got Hargeet Chani with the $2 says Uncharted Collection is coming day and date to PlayStation PC. I didn't think about that, Alex. Like, that game is being remastered. It's already out though, but they're not waiting. They're just remastering it, and it's coming
Uncharted
to PS5.
4. Yeah,
Uncharted,
PS5 and PC.
Yeah. So,
I don't know about the collection. I know 4 is.
He says Uncharted Collection. I thought
the collection is 1, 2, and 3. We're getting 4 and Lost Legacy.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other Uncharted Collection. You should play those. Have you played 4 and Lost Legacy?
I've played.
You unconsole peasant, you.
I played Uncharted 1 and 2, and I don't like those games.
Oh, really?
I don't.
Okay, well, 2 is it's one of the greats for me, but are you not into like the third person over the shoulder action adventure stealth blah 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 blah?
That's not really it. You ever played a game called Dragon's Lair?
No. Wait.
So Dragon's Lair is an old arcade game.
The old arcade cartoon, like interactive time-based game?
Yeah.
I've never played it. I've watched it at like Pizza Hut.
So Uncharted reminds me of Dragon's Lair, just more gussied up. Yeah. There are specific segments and specific times you have to do specific actions or jumps in order to progress the actual game. If you don't, the game ends and kills you, just like in Dragon's Lair, where you had to move your joystick in the direction you had to go. So the idea for me, and what I hate about Uncharted, is it's not a game. And people lambast me about this when I say this, because they're like, oh, you like Kojima games, right? Yeah, I do like Kojima games, but Kojima is able to separate gameplay from actual cutscene. My problem with Uncharted is it feels as though you're playing a cutscene. And that's really what bothers me the most.
Let's get into this for a second, Alex, because I think I said this a couple weeks ago on someone's podcast. It might have been mine, but you haven't played these games, but Spider-Man and
I played it.
Spider-Man 2018 is really good, and I really liked it. It was one of my favorite games that year, next to Forza Horizon 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Anyway, no, Spider-Man's really great. So I have to say that caveat, because what I'm going to say is going to sound like total hate against PlayStation exclusive. When you play Spider-Man, there are many times. Grab a controller. There's many times when you're controlling the game, and then a PlayStation exclusive, you push a button, like you'll hit triangle at the right time, and it will take over in an animation and move the camera in a really cool way. And it just looks unbelievable, like AAA blockbuster. The best visuals, the camera comes in, the animation is just top quality, but you're not controlling the character until that animation completes.
The final boss battle in Spider-Man 2018 is an excellent example where you're on the building and you're falling down, and the person you're fighting, it looks beautiful. The camera cuts super low. There's sparks everywhere. Everything's got a depth of field on it, but it's like press triangle and you're like,
or you're pressing triangle, square, and you're shooting webs. Yeah.
You're like, it looks cool, but where's the video game?
I mean, it is cool and it's still really fun, but when you break it down and think how sometimes you aren't controlling, and there's plenty of games that have done that where you hit two buttons and you get to do a finishing move and it does this really great animation, but you're not doing it. And the reason why I brought that up was, we're going to talk about Halo in a minute, but when you play Halo Infinite, you see all these cool trick shots. Somebody's doing that with timing, thumbstick movement, or doing something at the right time, interacting with physics in the game. And it may not look like a Spider-Man game, but you're doing something incredible that someone did with skill. In Spider-Man, I can do something awesome by hitting triangle and the circle button at the same time. So,
well, I'm not going to lambast all of Spider-Man, because I think the boss battles were the weakest part of that game. But I think the strongest part of that game was New York City, was Manhattan, and it was the web swinging. Because the amount of tricks and combinations you can pull while web swinging is phenomenal. And people were doing stuff like not doing score points. I think there was a score multiplier though when you were doing.
Yeah, if you kind of like a Tony Hawk game, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, because I don't really. I mean, it was 3 years ago when I played the game on stream, but it was like those moments right there where you were like, I want to do all these cool tricks, line them all up, and do it real great. That's exactly the thing that I loved about that game. The story was good. The graphics were good. Graphics were okay actually. But the web swinging, I think, is something that Insomniac got.
It's a beautiful game.
Perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. I could not have asked for anything better in terms of the web swinging, right? But I think that is exactly what I would have wanted the entirety of the game. I think if the boss battles were done revolving around that rather than QTEs, then I think we'd have a real, for me, would have been unreal. And if you're going to play QTEs though, may I recommend a small game called Azura's Wrath?
I've heard of it.
I think if you're going to play a QTE game, that is the QTE game. 100%. That's the game.
Okay. We're gonna segue into another game that has some QTEs that's like a surprise hit. We're gonna talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, which does a lot of these Insomniac PlayStation tropes in a really good way. We're going to get into that in a minute because I'm not sure where you sit on that. But we got Twisted Metal with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Twisted Metal. He said, I think the next God of War or Gran Turismo will be day and date on PC. Those games come out in a year from now.
I don't think God of War.
No? Yeah, I'm not.
I don't think God of War or GT, no.
No. But I think I will add to kind of give Twisted Mental, to give him a little bit of agreement. I think it's not going to be 3 years from then. It's going to be more like 6 months, maybe a year at the longest. I think so. I think as a business standpoint, if Jim Ryan's looking at, if you look at as a chart like we do with our YouTube videos when they go, pew, right? And all the sales spike up in the first 3 or 6 months, and then they just die. And if you're looking at the chart, you're like, why not get PC in the mix right before the line starts tanking, and then just and then you also get when the interest spikes back up. And then when PC interest, when you reach the top of Steam sales charts, when God of War comes to Steam, it's going to be the number one selling game.
It already was
for the next, right?
I think it was the most pre-ordered game on Steam.
So there's all this like FOMO, right? So if you didn't happen to buy God of War Ragnarok and then it comes to Steam and it spikes Steam sales and all the articles come out and say number one game selling on Steam for 2 months straight, PlayStation guys will go start buying. That'll pick up those sales and you get that whole avalanche of stuff.
People will double dip just to have it on PC, even if they had it on PlayStation before. So
what do you think about Phil Spencer making fun of PlayStation making their fans double dip on both platforms?
When did he say that?
He said it in so about 3 or 4 months ago. I was sent a behind the scenes interview with Satya Nadella, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, and they gave me a video. And then I was not allowed to show the video, but I was allowed to quote any of it. And there's a point in there when Phil Spencer says, "We don't make our customers double dip and buy the game on the console and then turn around and have to buy it again on PC. We give you one game on both platforms for the same price." So
Phil's down and dirty. He doesn't play any games, man.
It is down and dirty. I kind of like that, you know.
That guy's on it. Let me tell you. But he probably said it. He probably said it in like the Phil way, where he's like, we don't really. He probably said it with like a smirk, knowing him.
Let me get it for you. So right now we're the only platform shipping games on console, PC, and cloud simultaneously. Others bring console games to PC years later, but not only making people buy their hardware up front, but then charging them a second time to play it on PC. Just like that. He had a little smile.
That is a direct dig.
Yeah, I just read it. I just recited it as it was playing in my headset. So yeah, I mean, he was sitting there with Matt Booty and Pete Hines from Bethesda. And I can't show that little video clip, but I have it sitting on my desktop labeled G14 for G14 Classified from Rush Hour.
Yes, that is yes. Oh, cool.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, why do you do this? I swear to God, we're so old.
G14. I love it, man. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to push PlayStation to lower that, like, close that gap in and how long they make people wait. But yeah,
I hope so. I mean, that'd be a nice thing, right? Because if that doesn't matter, you're still supporting PlayStation. You're still buying the video game. They're still making revenue and money off of you. You're still having that product. Just because it's not in a plastic box doesn't mean that it's anything less. And I think that's what people forget, right?
It's a special thing. Like, how do you deal with when the PlayStation guys say, "I want my console to feel special"?
Okay. Do you enjoy the time you spend on your console?
I don't know if they do, Alex.
Then that's why. Then that's when it's special, right? If like I think the most interesting thing I've heard is that people will say like it devalues the box or the console itself, right? And I think that's the most ridiculous line of thinking you could ever have with any product, because these products are not investments. They're products. They're there to fulfill a need or a want. And the want and the need is to, can this product entertain me? That's it. That's the only thing it's supposed to do. It's not an investment. It's not a stock. It's not an NFT. It's not crypto, right? It's can this box entertain me? And if the box entertains you, then you have inherent value in that box. If the only way you can actually find value in something is if someone else has to buy the same thing you bought to play the same thing you played, then you're not seeing any value in what the thing provides. You're seeing value in what other people do, which vindicates what your purchase was. So now you see value. It's this very perverted, almost really weird way of like, this is the only way I see value, is if other people have to buy the same thing I bought to prove I'm not a dummy and I bought the right thing.
Like if you lived out in the middle of the country and you didn't have any friends and your life was just, or your entertainment gaming life was just you, right? If you didn't have social media, you would never say something like, "I don't feel special" when the game goes. Yeah.
Or there's no value, or it's devalued. It's stupid. No, I'm having fun with the thing. Like when we were kids, it was NES. Oh, you got a Genesis? Oh, I got a Super Nintendo. Come over to my house, dude. Let's play these things. Or I'll go over your house. We'll play that too. That's all that
I
matters.
just didn't have friends that had Genesis, so I didn't know much about them. But like, we just wanted to play games.
Anybody who had a Genesis as a kid, they're not people you want to talk to or hang out with. So.
I did have a weird neighbor friend that had a Genesis
them, right?
later, and I just never really liked him. No, I'm just kidding. But I didn't think there were any console wars back then. But
well, there were.
But I know there were.
They were on the playground instead of Twitter. Now the playground is Twitter.
It is actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I got to tell you about Guardians of the Galaxy. The game looked like trash. It looked annoying. It looked like Avengers. It looked like another Marvel cash-in that wasn't from Insomniac, right? So it wasn't something. I'll cut to the chase. That I got the game because Skill Up said it was great. I really, really love this game. Do you play these type of games?
I don't. Right?
Are you going to play Guardians of the Galaxy? I got to hear from the chat as well.
I did a PC port review of it.
Oh, okay, okay. What happened?
It's
because we're going to talk about the performance.
It's one of the best PC ports I've ever played this past year.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like in shock at how good the performance is on that game.
Okay.
Just bar none. Just bar none. The only thing that the criticism that I would give it would be that low, medium, and high settings don't really change anything much.
Okay.
The frame rate difference between those settings really isn't as impactful as something as like DLSS or screen resolution upscaling.
Okay.
But I mean, the way that game handles, even on my 2070 Super at 1440p, I was getting like 70 to 80 FPS in game.
Jeez.
Like, right? Like, and like, I'm just like what? When I had things like Kenna barely hitting 60 FPS and having frame time issues, when I was having Alan Wake having major CPU bottlenecks on certain cores and threads, when I was having, so many other games just really not like when I lambasted Halo Infinite for having a bad PC port. And I was just, I was like, how do you lock a game at 720p at 56 FPS consistently? When I'm just like, it was bad. It was real bad. And I was like, this is just atrocious. This is bad. And me and I'm not going to name drop. I'm trying to not to name drop, but I'm going to name drop. Me and Alex Battaglia started going back and forth on Twitter. And we were like, I'm like, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. And I'm like, we need to tell somebody something. And because
he was seeing some of the same problems you were seeing.
Him and I were both seeing the same issues. Yeah.
Because a lot of Xbox fans who were playing it on Series X who were getting a great
experience.
I don't even remember what the resolution was, like 1440p at 60 or something. I don't remember what the resolution was at the 120 version, but I mean, I've got a big OLED. The game ran really well on Series X on that final flight. So Alex was in agreement that the PC port had problems, right?
Yeah. We were talking about frame time issues every 10 seconds. We saw that, and we didn't even have the same equipment. I'm just using MSI Afterburner, so I'm just looking at it as the frame times just boom, boom every 10 seconds, and I'm like, that's a problem. And I'm looking at like CPU core utilization. I'm looking at memory utilization.
You're getting like down spikes every 10 seconds.
Yeah,
like it would drop 5 or 6 frames or more.
It would and even then, like the frame time in between. So that would be the problem. So what you're looking at for frame times is what is my average frame rate, and then what is the 1% low. And the 1% low is like the 1% of the time. Here's how low the frame rate goes, and you want those two frame rates to be as close as possible. That way, you have. If it does have a dip, it's not dramatic, right? You have like, it's a small dip of 2 or 3 frames here. It's almost unnoticeable. And usually G-Sync will fix that, or it'll sort of like smooth it out if necessary. But where I was having frame times 20 or 30 frames difference, which is unplayable. I mean, we're talking about like full stutter, and we're talking about like input lag. And so we were just having this conversation, and we started tagging all the Bungie guys and stuff like that, and people got really mad at me. Oh, why don't you create a ticket? I did. Why don't you don't criticize it? They're still working on it.
It's a beta.
It's a beta. It's not ready. I'm going to criticize the beta. I lambasted the Battlefield beta. I'm going to lambast the Halo beta. I'm a very discerning customer. If I'm going to pay a full $60, I expect the full product to work.
Yeah.
And that's just me, right? And I guess I don't know. I guess being an entitled PC gamer for 20 something years will do that to you, right?
You spent a lot of money, Alex. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I've been there. I mean, my PC is not cheap that I've sitting here, and when I game on it, you can have expectations, but everyone was like really liking Guardians of the Galaxy because it looked really great. It's a great looking game, and I have it on Series X, and I'm like, this looks really good. And then Digital Foundry gets their mitts on it, and they tell us on PS5 on a brand new next generation console with a killer CPU in it and a great GPU engine that you're playing at 1080p 60, and everyone all of a sudden Guardians was ugly, low rate trash,
blurry garbage.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on with that game on the console.
Well, I know a couple things, but
I think I know what's going on with that game on the console.
Okay,
you want to go?
I was going to say before you get into it, because, and you can add this to what you're going to say, but Alex Battaglia said that there's something not right with Guardians of the Galaxy on the console, because he said that if you ran a AMD 5700 XT GPU, something that he thinks is close to the PS5, you should be able to get it up to 1440p, but it's running at 1080p. But he said the lighting that they're using is not baked in, so it's really demanding, so it's causing them to bring the resolution down. But I've talked to other people, Alex, that say this game should be able to change some things and get up to 1440p at 60, no problem. So tell me what you think's going on.
You know, let's put on our Alex Jones tinfoil hat, shall we? Just wrap that around there. I really think that it's the. Let me see how I can say this. There are certain games that have partnerships with certain GPU companies. Whether
you're going to say Sony or PlayStation or PlayStation or Xbox. Okay.
Nvidia has a partnership with a game, or AMD has a partnership with a game. We use IDOS Montreal for an example. Deus Ex Human Revolution had a very close partnership with AMD during its development for its PC version and just in general. Guardians of the Galaxy has a close partnership with NVIDIA. And I'm wondering if on the PC side, it seems to be something on the driver level that may be causing this issue. And I would probably bet as well, it seems to be just something that is on either how AMD architecture works with whatever they decided to use and how NVIDIA's architecture works on that end. So I'm wondering if it's just that thing that happens when certain companies do partner with others and they're like, well, we're partnering with NVIDIA, sort of like how The Witcher did it, where they were like, here's NVIDIA, here it works, here's all these NVIDIA things, AMD can't use it. And it's like, what? Why? Because, well, they partnered with us, right? And I think that seems to be, in my most tinfoil hat response would be, I think it's just mostly because of the way the game was designed to run on NVIDIA hardware. And I think hopefully with patching, it will fix those things for AMD hardware, since their consoles are based off of AMD architecture. They're AMD SoCs.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if
they get it working great, and then they're like, they don't, they got all the driver stuff and all the software support for the hardware on NVIDIA on PC, but then you have these AMD consoles, and they're like, well, it's working great as is. I'm going to say something, Alex, that I was saying to my friend the other day that I don't think the chat's going to like, but like, I'm a creator. I create graphics. I do a YouTube channel. I try to I try to make stuff that's really great, like my best work. But sometimes I feel like developers, and this is actually a compliment to Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like Eidos Montreal put the game on PS5 and Series X at like the same settings. Like, they kind of had the same target. They're like, they're close enough. We'll set this target. We'll see what the raw hardware does. And I honestly think that Eidos Montreal looked at Guardians in performance mode and goes, wow, that looks really good. And we didn't have to toil over it. And
send it out.
It's running at 60. Like, I've played through it where I have VRR on, so I don't see any screen tearing or any like massive frame drops. So, which if you're on PC, if you're using FreeSync or G-Sync or whatever, like, you get to enjoy those things. So when I play the game, it's just a great presentation across the board. I don't have anything to complain about. And I feel like the developers looked at the game running on the PS5 and the Series X dev kit, and they're like, wow, this looks really good and it runs really great. And we're done. It's time. We're going gold. Go. And the game's phenomenal. But when they said it's 1080p 60, everyone's like, what the crap, man? Like, and I don't know. Like, do you think the developers, like, is it okay? Developers see the game at 1080 because it looks good at 1080p. It really does. I don't know what resolutions you've played at, depending on your screen size.
I'm an absolute monster, and I will drop the resolution as much as possible to get a better frame rate. I do not care.
That's the next thing we're going to talk about.
I do not care. Frame rate is so much more important than resolution in every capacity for me. So that's really what I am. I play Counter-Strike Go in 4:3 stretched.
Like this?
Yeah, it's 4:3, and then I stretch it to full screen.
Yeah, because it's old. It's in 4:3 aspect ratio.
I'm that absolute monster. So
is your mini map like a east?
It's
like
huge.
An egg?
It's just a giant egg, and I have to like use a UI scaler to fix it. So because I want to get 5 more FPS, like that's just me.
And you don't want the black bars, yeah.
That's
funny.
I'm that kind of maniac.
I gotta tell you this, Alex. Like I've talked to some people who were like, the quality mode is native 4K at 30 FPS, and I would rather have like those beautiful visuals at 30. But when I switched it to quality mode and turned the camera, it was like,
it's in the trash.
And I can't stand it. And I'm like, I would never trade extra. Okay, I don't notice there's another part we got to get into, but I don't notice enough of a visual quality upgrade to ever deal with a game like that at 30, because the cutscenes are at 60. They seamlessly move right into gameplay, right? I'm sure you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what is this with these people who are like, I would rather have the visuals and play it at 30?
Some people want eye candy. And that's what they prefer. We've had this entire generation of the Xbox One and the PS4 being like 30 FPS is what you get.
Yeah.
And we're just going to upscale to 4K and do all the stuff with the Pro and the C and the 1X and all that stuff. And I think people were just like, I want it to look good. I bought a new TV. I bought an LG CX. I mean, I've got a 50-something inch LG CX in my living room, right? And you know what it's used for? It's used for Real Housewives of New York. I spent $1,500 for my wife to watch Real Housewives in 4K. That's what I did, right? I shouldn't have even bought that TV in the first place because I'm getting a Steam Deck in a couple of months anyways. So what am I doing? 800p on my handheld, stupid. But like
800p,
but like it's to like, and I think it all depends on the person, right? Some people want all the bells and whistles for it to look good and showcase their TV, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But we're not watching video games; we're playing video games, and having
and like I'm not playing your video game for you. So if you want to play it at 30, it's fine. But I will say this little tiny speech that I promise you, if you play Guardians of the Galaxy at 60, you'll have a better experience.
You're gonna have a better experience, 100%.
I promise.
100%.
Like I promise you. Here, let me add this, Alex. I promise you, the game will look just as good. I promise you. So
a lot of TVs have upscalers already in them too, so you'll be fine. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, there's times when you'll walk over like an industrial grate and you'll see the aliasing and shimmering, but it's not very often. Most of the stuff actually, you have to have stuff at certain angles to see that pixelization sometimes. But the post processing, I don't know if they're using temporal anti-aliasing or anything like that in the game. I think
it's FXAA, not maybe.
Is that the lower quality one?
Yeah, it looks a little bit almost like
MSAA is the top one. Yeah, and it smooths that stuff out. But we got to talk about the next reason why people play at 30. Let me get to some supers. I'm kind of behind, and these guys are amazing.
Just go for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've got a couple for you here, but to answer. But we got Risk It for the Biscuit with the Australian $8 super chat. He's awesome. I actually heard his voice on his podcast, and he was on the Spaces. I love the Australian guys. They're the best. He says, I think that Wolverine from Insomniac will be day and date, 3 years max when it comes out. But if not, I'll be shocked if 3 years or less is day and date. So I think he's with you on that, Alex. On 3 years would be 2024. That seems like forever away. It's like the end of the console generation almost. Unforgiven.
2 months is 1 month is 2022.
Oh, Oh, dang it. Don't remind me.
It's November. We're still living in this hellscape of a nightmare.
Yeah, for like 2 years. It's like Groundhog Day, man.
Yes.
I have two little dogs. I have two little dogs, and they wake me up at like 6 in the morning. They come over to the bed and put their paws up on the mattress and start huffing and puffing at me. And so I go up and feed them, and as I'm scooping their food out in the dark, I feel like I am in this moment over and over, like Bill Murray. It's ridiculous. Unforgiven with the Canadian $2. Thank you, Unforgiven. Says, congrats, Alex, for winning free Discord Nitro. When did that happen?
Unforgiven is my moderator in my Discord. Awesome. He's also my moderator in all my content. He has done amazing work to help me get everything I need. He does it on his own. He just asked me. Recently, I was duped in Discord because there is a phishing scam going around that will literally take your 2-factor code from Discord.
Oh, crap.
And then it will then start spamming everyone that you know in every Discord that you know about free Discord Nitro. And the thing is, people were like, yo, you got hacked, because the way I talk to people on Discord is not the way this message goes, right? So I'm like on Discord, I'm very, we'll say crass is the right way of saying it.
Yeah.
And so like, when I say hi to people, it's mostly like really just
informal
things you get canceled for, right? Just immediately as like a DM. And so they were like, you never call me bro, something's wrong. You know?
Right.
And so
sir,
I have a very close friend who calls me bro, and he sent me the link, and I was like, oh dude, he buys me nitros all the time. So I was like, oh, thanks dude. I appreciate it. I got rocked. So I lost my account, and I had to make a new one, and it's still like under this whole thing. I then had to give Unforgiven ownership of my Discord. We're now waiting 30 days for me to reclaim it. And it's just been an absolute nightmare. So I just want to say thank you, Unforgiven, for being awesome. And if we can get if we get hearts in the chat for Unforgiven, please, that'd be fantastic. Yes, please. Too. But his favorite thing is he loves to just dig at me all the time because of it. He just digs at me all the time. He's great.
I do have several Unforgivens in my life. I wish I could name all of them, but I've already talked about them today on the show. People like that are completely awesome.
Unreal.
I got to tell you a quick story about me. Like there was a bot account that's called Colteastwood with my picture in YouTube that was replying to people in my YouTube videos saying, hey, call this number and I can help you get a Series X. And they give them a number to somewhere in Texas, and I live in Washington. So call me at this phone number and I'll help you get a Series X. I'll help you buy one at regular price. And I got message from somebody that follows my channel that said, man, I almost fell for this. And I said, what are you talking about? So I went and looked and had to ban it twice. There's 2 different accounts that just have my name, my picture, and said, hey, call me on this number or text me and I'll help you get a Series X. And what it was doing, it was a script that when someone said, I can't even get the consoles right now, if it had anything to do with scalping or trying to buy a console, any keywords, it would reply to them with this same text. Like, bro, hit me up,
Hit this link.
Yeah, that stuff really sucks, man. It's kind terrible.
It's really bad. So just be on guard, right? So my thing is look at the HTML line, see if it's misspelled or says something weird. Just
I mean, our DMs are open. Your DMs are open, right, Alex? If you ever question something, just send us a message. Shout out to Ramon G with the $2 super chat. Says maybe now we'll get Persona 5 on Xbox. We're going to talk about Sega in just a minute. C Trigger 3 with the $10 super chat. Thanks. He says, I got into and are loving the Yakuza series. Another Sega comment. And I'm asking, how have I not known about this series? Then it hits me. I'm an Xbox player, and we don't usually receive Japanese developer support. Oh my gosh, yeah. Nathaniel Johnson.
I'm playing the Yakuza series right now, and I'm in absolute love with that series.
I tried to play it, but I've been in party chats. I have to you have to just play it. You can't have any distractions. Yeah. Nathaniel Johnson, thanks for the $5. He says, Alex, those videos where you call out the fanboys are important because it shows us how ridiculous they really are, and I hope that they see it. Colt, you the best. So, Alex, do they reach out to you yo, I was in your video?
Yeah.
What happens?
So people now are like, some people were like, did I get in his video this week? I want to see. Like they're just getting excited about it, which is kind of fun. And I'm like, no, you didn't get in there this week. And so, we're just kind of like seeing what happens. But it's just all good fun.
Yeah, and you've been getting like the big accounts that get a lot of traction that just drag everybody and make everybody get in a big argument. So I've loved seeing some of the big accounts that have the biggest mouth. It's been really fun. And sometimes when I comment on your videos, I get, man, it's not pretty.
I got my first death threat.
You did?
Yeah, I got my first death threat.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the club. The response that I did was just lowercase k.
Oh, that's it? Just okay.
That's all I responded with. K. And I just sent a reply. I just hit him with that. Like, here you go. There you go. Yeah. I saw you. Senpai noticed you. Don't worry.
I just can't imagine being so angry over like gaming related news to tell somebody to go jump headfirst into a garbage disposal, but they do it. Nathaniel Johnson with it.
Is that the one you got?
Okay, turn the switch off. I'm done.
Can you fit your head in that little hole anyways? I mean,
oh man, I can't fit. You ever put your hand in there to get something out and you're like hoping something doesn't malfunction? I almost got my wrist stuck in there because I am pretty dainty, but
you're a little thick, huh?
Well, now come on now. It's been a pandemic, all right? I'm a little
I need to stop because this is going to go places you don't think you want it to go.
Nathaniel Johnson, thank you for the $5. He said, I'm playing Spider-Man right now, and I agree, Alex. They should have leaned into web slinging more. It's an open world disguised by Spider-Man. Yeah. I mean, there are some web swinging related boss battles when you fight Doc Ock and stuff. That's been a long time.
And Vulture, I think is
Electro. Yeah. Oh yeah, Vulture. Like you kind of had to stay up in the air the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember. Hargy Chunny, thanks for the $5. He says Xbox is the most searched console globally. Hype, and then he puts the. Have you seen people put up these Google Trends things like Xbox is the best? Everyone's searching it more in Google.
Oh my god.
No, but it's true. But I mean, Xbox is coming back, and thank goodness. Because
I think it's great. Competition is always a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pushing PlayStation. They're going to go to PC, and then they're going to make more games. And they're making more games because Xbox keeps buying studios.
And then everybody gets good games, and everybody can get off Twitter and just play games.
Are they going to do that, though?
No.
No, they're not going to.
I'll always have content.
That's a perpetual motion. Two more. Jedi Knight Peter with the Australian 10 says Sega and Microsoft talks means more Sega games coming to Game Pass like Yakuza. That is probably a good idea. Also, ONOX Alex needs 300 subs. I think it's 200 and something to get to 15,000. Let's help him get there. So if you're watching the show right now, this is the XSC podcast. I'm a Colteastwood, but that doesn't really matter. But over here, how do I do that? Over here is ONOX Alex. Go to in the description, I have his Twitter link. I will update that with his YouTube channel, but your YouTube channel is linked in your bio on Twitter. Go hit the subscribe. We've got over 750 people watching live. If we can get 700 of you to go over and hit subscribe, I promise, if you want to see the fanboy lambasting, as we'll call it, you'll get that once a week. He also does other content. He streams games. He talks about the industry. So go give him a sub. And, like the podcast if you're having a good time. Let's talk about Sega because at the outset, there isn't much to say, but there's a lot more going behind the scenes. Alex, do you know much? Or do you want me to read you a short excerpt of what Windows Central said about this?
Yeah, that'd be great. Even if the chat, if they haven't read it, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I'll read this. It's direct words from Jez Corden of Windows Central, and it's only take a minute, but he says, Microsoft and Sega announced a strategic alliance. Remember when I said the strategy? In a press release, Sega confirmed that the partnership will allow both companies to start exploring game development using the Microsoft Azure cloud infrastructure. This partnership will also aid in development of Sega's previously announced Super Game project, which is currently years away from launch. Now, stop reading there. Super Game is a new genre. It's a new. Xbox talked about partnering on some game that's really cloud-based, where it leverages like all of the teraflops of all the combined hive mind of cloud infrastructure, where they can do something with multiple people online, like where you can go into a world that would not exist on a PC or a console because it can be bolstered by the cloud. And it's something we've never had before. I'll continue. Sega has played such an iconic role in the gaming industry and has been a tremendous partner over the years, says Sarah Bond. She's the head of Vice President at Microsoft and Game Pass. She said, "We look forward to working together as they explore new ways to create unique gaming experiences for the future using cloud technologies. Sega's Super Game is focused on a few key pillars such as global, online, community, and IP utilization." These are all crazy words that don't like translate into shoot, bang, bang, jump, right? But Sega plans to use this partnership to explore future collaboration, including network infrastructure and communication. We aim to build an alliance that utilizes both Sega's powerful game development capabilities and Microsoft's cutting-edge tech and development environment. So he says a few other things about, we don't know what else this entails, but it's a this for that. So what's going on with this, Alex? What's in the pipeline?
Super game, huh?
Super game.
I think that might in fact just be something that is either always online or perpetually there, almost like a meta kind of game.
Okay. Yes, they've been using words like meta, but what does that mean?
Like not an MMO, right? But like it would create almost its own sort of like community and world inside that game. Is what it's. I mean, because super game, right, with IPs.
Mm-hmm.
And using cloud-based tech, I feel like it's something that you could probably play anywhere, either in your phone, either on a tablet, either on your console or your PC.
Like multiple mechanics that are like
not even multiple mechanics, but multiple ways of actually accessing that game to play no matter what. So it's kind of like, imagine if you could play Destiny 2 on your mobile phone.
Okay.
Same concept, right?
There's also like talks about these games where you could load up the mobile version to do inventory management stuff that like you couldn't play the full game there, but like if you're stuck at work, you could sit down at lunch and you could do like all of your inventory, your crafting.
World of Warcraft did that, where you could do the auction house stuff through the app. Look at armor
while you're not like on game, yeah.
Have
like
specific small games to play while you're on the app. You know, things like that, just constantly keeping you engaged in this game or in this world that they've created in order to have that. I don't think.
Have you played games where like you wish you were involved in the game at all times, but you're stuck at work? Or
World of Warcraft was one of them back in the day.
You were one of those guys, huh?
I was big time into WoW, big time, and then Blizzard, World of Warcraft and Diablo 2, I think were the two big ones for me.
So if it had a mechanic where you could get on your phone or you could get on a browser and do things that you don't want to do when it's time to go raid or go jump in with your friends, like that would be like really satisfying for you.
I don't think it'd be satisfying. I think it would satiate that moment.
Yeah.
Right. It would be like, okay, well, let me just do this little thing here. And then that way I'm either always thinking about it. And I'm almost even thinking of it in almost like in terms of like a microtransaction thing. To where
like a monetization channel where
true monetization channel, right? Like here, you're not playing the game right now, but here's a way to monetize something that we can use in order to have you do this thing specifically that you want to take care of. I don't know. It can go down so many avenues and alleys, but I think really what it might be is just how do we, and I'm going to go in like the very odd direction with this. I think it's going to be, how do we separate the player from the device and have it to where no device is actually required to actually go through. What I mean by that is there isn't a device restriction.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's where gaming's actually headed, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't want, game developers don't want you to, like, they don't necessarily benefit from you building a PC or buying a console. Like you were saying earlier, it's a vehicle. The console's not a special thing. It's a way for you to be able to play the game. So if you could play the game wherever you can access it, like on a browser or on smart TV, I just don't. This doesn't sound like a conventional type of game, right? It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you're like really into a game and you've got it on the brain all the time and you want to be able to do stuff, and you can go into an app or go to your browser and log in and set up your build or your loadout, right? Those could be major things, and you could be auctioning off skins.
Yeah, that could be like a big thing for people who are really into that, right? So there's a lot of things that could happen with that, or even have some sort of gameplay on different devices that carries over to when you get to your main device. So that could be something that happens there as well. But I don't know. It just seems really strange to me. I think I'm not really into the whole partnership thing. That's not interesting to me. I think what's interesting to me is the super game and the IP usage. So I think that's the most interesting part to me.
So someone said in the chat that this is like most likely a Japanese focused game for like that part of the market. Like it's not a conventional AA or AAA game. It may be like something that really adheres to like that type of gamer that like they have the Phantasy Star Online, which when people play that, they play it for hours and hours, right? So let me ask you, and this ties into Risk It for the Biscuit Super. I'll read this and I'll ask you. He says, thanks, Risk It. He's awesome for the $8 Australian. He said, I'm betting that most, if not all, Sega games will come to Game Pass. Microsoft wouldn't make a deal that doesn't include them getting something out of Game Pass in some way. So if they're partnering and helping Sega, they're already going to be making money on the Azure partnership, because that's kind of really what it is. Like, you can use our enterprise and we'll offer development help. But what is Microsoft going to get out of other than the revenue stream from them using the servers? Do you think that Risk It's right that maybe they've said, hey, can we get some of your games into Game Pass? You've got like a bunch of really great IPs and you could bolster more people. Do you think they're working on some deal like that?
I think that's already been in the works. All the Yakuza games are on Game Pass.
Yes,
like that's already there. So it's like that's already been in the works. I think that's I don't want to be rude. I think that's a very
obvious
narrow way of looking at things, right?
As far as like, what do I get as an Xbox fan?
Yeah. I think what we're talking about from this sense isn't really a partnership for Game Pass. I think this is more of a partnership for Microsoft's push into cloud gaming. I think being able to showcase like, hey, Sega's able to do this on our servers through cloud gaming. You should use our servers too. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's much bigger than that. I think it's almost like somebody said Skynet in the chat. I kind of think that's probably the way it's going to go too. Like, it just feels like that sort of like, this isn't Game Pass. Like those contracts are already in place, right? They've already done those kinds of things. That's just that's going to happen. This is more like enterprise level. This isn't anything.
This is also like a platform for Sega, right? It could become a platform for them, a place for them to launch their games and have them.
This isn't anything like game wise. This is like, we are going to make this kind of game or these kinds of games that are going to use this architecture or this infrastructure, and they're going to be relying upon that. And then other developers and publishers can see that and say, we can then do this with what Sega has been doing. And Microsoft can take that use case and say, here's why you have to use our servers instead. And then their monetary value would be, how many more developers and publishers can we get using our servers doing this type of thing? I think that is more impactful than what Game Pass game are we going to get.
So why is Sarah Bond, like, why did she kind of make this she made this announcement for Microsoft, and everyone like that, because you know how we are, like we try and do our B-level investigative reporting, and like, Sarah Bond runs Game Pass, so this has to mean that they're going to do something for Game Pass, and we've been hearing about this Sega rumor for about 2 years. It's been almost 2 years that this some type of Sega partnership has been persistent for a while, and it takes a while to hear about these partnerships, but this isn't like an acquisition.
Right. And Sarah Bond may be running it just because she may have relationships with Sega.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I guess I haven't really.
She could be their point of contact. She could be running that on the side. She could be, just having that relationship. She could be, let's say, it doesn't have to be about Game Pass specifically. I mean, if you think a C-level executive only does one thing, then I got some, news to tell you.
Another thing, I was actually, there was some arguments going on today where like, this has nothing to do with gaming. Like if it has to do with video games and it's Microsoft, it is Xbox. And does it mean Xbox exclusives from Sega? No, but it is gaming division. And it is, Sega didn't say we're working with Microsoft to make TurboTax 3, right? They're talking about making a game, the super game. So it is part of the Xbox gaming division. There is no Microsoft gaming. It's now just Xbox. That's the branding. Love it or hate it. But this super
that could
game
be why
is...
Sarah's involved.
That's why Sarah's involved. Doesn't have to do with Game Pass.
There's so many other ways around it, right? Like C-level executives take so many different projects all the time.
Right.
And just because they're headed says one thing specifically doesn't mean they can't run something else.
And I will say, don't be shocked if a couple of Sega games start showing up on Game Pass as a result of the partnership and the relationship and the. I mean, if they're working together, they will talk, and the door is open to say, "Hey, can we get a couple of these games on Game Pass?" And we're like you said, Alex, we're already seeing it.
There are going to be Sega games going on to Game Pass, 100%.
Do you have any big Sega franchises that you're goo goo gaga about? Because you didn't play on the Genesis, you weren't a weirdo.
Yeah, definitely not a weirdo. I think the big one is Persona.
Yeah,
I think that would
everyone's
be the big
asking
one.
for that.
Everyone's asking for Persona. Yakuza was the other big one.
I think all the Yakuza games are on now that Judgment is on Xbox.
I know it's not in flavor, but I would love like stuff like Time Crisis.
Oh yeah,
some weird way to make a comeback. That'd be awesome.
That's in flavor. Yeah, yeah. I'm not really versed on Sega games. Of course, the Sonic stuff. But Sonic games are already on Xbox.
You know what I'd love for you guys to get? Total War.
Yeah, that's a classic, isn't it?
Total War, man.
How long has it been since that's been out?
That thing's been out for a
15
while.
years?
But if they could put Total War on consoles, man, golly, man, that would be just awesome for you guys. Awesome.
Yeah,
what a game.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Carlos Fontes says, I think it's going to be Animal Crossing plus GTA 5 plus Ready Player One plus Stadia xCloud game streaming. That's the super game. You need Roblox in there and it'll be an absolute super game. Still wreaking havoc. Thanks for the $5. He says, I'm very excited about games from Sega. I really want a new JSRF and Ready to Rumble was so awesome.
Jet Set Radio Future. Give me Power Stone.
Oh my gosh, that game is like so beloved and I've never played it.
Power Stone. Okay.
Can you imagine that modernized? And I feel like we kind of got it with Sunset Overdrive, like just a little bit, but Jet Set Radio is like a cult classic. The cult classics always die, Alex. Why?
Bring back Seaman.
What's that? I feel like you're about to insert an Adult Swim cartoon at any second after you make a comment.
Seaman is an old Dreamcast game. I love the Dreamcast, by the way. I think it's a great console. Where you would have a fish that you grow from a tadpole, and then you would talk to it via the microphone in your Dreamcast controller. And it would then grow up, and you would talk to your fish, your Seaman, and it would just be there, and just really weird ass game. That's what it is.
Sounds perfect after hearing your card game.
It's great. I definitely suggest
talk to a fish.
Seaman,
Altered Beast. Oh man.
Altered Beast.
There was some great ones. Shinobi was a Sega game, right? I remember that one at the arcades because I'm older than you, and I never put a lot of money into arcades, but like Shinobi was one I would just watch the demo, repeat for 5 minutes and go, oh man, because I would put a quarter in it and die in the first stage. Yeah,
everybody did though.
Yeah, those were the days. Lord Starkiller SX01 with the $5 thank you. He says cloud streaming with xCloud, including xCloud on consoles, something Sony simply cannot match yet. Love being able to play xCloud on my Razer Kishi. I also own a Razer Kishi, and I need to get it back snapped to my phone because now I've got the correct Wi-Fi at home. Yeah, you don't mess around with xCloud, do you? But you're going to do like the Steam Deck where you get
I don't mess around with
gaming.
xCloud. Yeah, but I think Steam Deck, I'm just going to download it to the actual device.
The crummy thing is xCloud started to really get really good, like more stable. And then I'm home. I never leave. And if I'm out, I'm not going to pull out my phone and my Razer Kishi when I'm in line at the drive-thru, you know. So
I mean, I'm
I just wait
mostly because I sit at my desk all day, and the last thing I want to do after a long day of work is to keep sitting at my desk to play games.
You can kick back on the couch with the Steam Deck.
Yeah, actually, I have the not the Steam Deck, the Steam. What is it? The small.
I have one too.
The hockey puck one?
I just got rid of mine. This what is it called? The Steam Link. Steam Link. Yeah, I just got rid of mine like a month ago.
Yeah, I got one of those, and I love that. That thing's great. I have it hardwired. I don't have any lag or latency.
For those of you who don't know what he's talking about with the Steam Link, it is a box about this big, and it runs an HDMI cable into your computer, right? HDMI?
On your TV. HDMI on your TV, Ethernet.
Yeah. So basically what I did is I'm in my game room here, and I have a PC. So I would take the Steam Link and plug it in the family room to the TV mounted on the wall. And through Wi-Fi, I would open up Steam in this room, and I could go in that other room and play my Steam games on the TV.
Yep.
Like it just streams it, and it works really, really well. I think back then it was like locked at 1080p 60.
I think it still is.
But now it's wireless, right? Now it's all wireless.
You can get 5G with it. So if you have a 5 gigahertz router, you can use that. That's for like the best way to do it. But I just got it wired.
So the reason why I explained that is like we both had one, or I used to have one. But imagine if Xbox had something like that, where you could take a USB dongle or something like that into the other room and stream your game to your TV. But I think all that's going to kind of be built into smart TVs in the future.
Probably.
So
yeah, they've already taken the app and they put it on certain smart TVs for Steam Link already. So you're already halfway there.
Yeah, and like this is
and it's on your iPhone too.
I got to ask you one more classic future question before we close up here. And I got a couple more super chats, but I'll have you answer this here in a second. Risk It for the Biscuit says, with an $8 super, he says, Alex, are you going to reveal what's behind the curtain in the end? Wizard of Oz style, and you're he said you're the puppet and it's Ben Affleck behind there.
Yes. Everybody says it look like Ben Affleck. I don't understand how.
Oh, I hear all the time.
I'm just remodeling, and I use a green screen for my videos. I just kept it up. That's really all it was.
With your like wonderful galaxy, wonderful stars behind you.
Gotta keep it serene.
All right, got to keep it nice and happy and get people in their zen before they get lambasted. Jake Macheline with the $2 super chat says, Dragon Force remake, please. Japanese Heroes of M&M.
Yeah.
You know those games?
Dragon Force, Shining Force, that'd be awesome.
Okay. The only Dragon Force I know is the band, but I got to ask you this one question as we hit out. We're almost 800 people watching live. I would love to see if I put a link in the chat to go sub to your channel, so hopefully you got a couple of subs. But I got to ask you this one question.
215 away.
Nice. Hey, I got a channel member. Dub has been channel member 5 months with the Raz badge. He says, hope at some point in the future we get a new Panzer Dragon. Curious to see what this deal brings. I bought the OG Xbox for Panzer Dragon and Jet Set, and I've still never played it. King X Leonidas says, with the new direction for Halo Infinite is taking, we didn't even talk about Halo much, but Halo's been talked out this week, actually. But do you think they are making it easier for spin-offs like a Bethesda-style RPG in Halo Infinite?
I wouldn't see that. No. We can still talk about Halo if you want. I got time.
Okay, let me ask you about Halo. One of the concerns is that it may be doing too much Far Cry, or the open world is going to hinder the feeling of the game. Are you getting any of those concerns when you see what the game is? Or
my concern is I wish it would have co-op on launch.
Yes, absolutely.
That world.
Delay it.
That world looks like it is designed and made for co-op. Going over like campsites, taking them down. I'd love to just add skulls mid-game, mid-campaign. The more players you have with you co-op, the harder enemies get, the different encounters become. Like That's what I would. I mean, I saw that and I was like, "Where's the co-op?" That's the first thing I thought of because that would be the coolest thing, just to like a open world firefight mode.
We got a lot of hate for saying delay Halo, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I mean, yeah, it was bad.
I got my Twitter account banned for 24 hours because of it.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Did you say something you shouldn't have, or did somebody just start mass reporting you for?
I got mass reported.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was great.
I was lucky. We were on an out of town trip, and I kind of like said my piece, and then I kind of laid back. And boy, man, people were really rough. But
you know me,
that co-op's super important. Here's my problem with co-op coming. I bet co-op comes in like June, not March like people say. I don't think it's going to come at the beginning of the season. Maybe it will, but like I'll be long done with the campaign this winter. I'll have played it once or twice, maybe once, and just jumped into the multiplayer and done all that stuff. Like I wanted to play that with friends, and by the time co-op comes out, even if it is March, hold on. If it is 3 or 4 months from launch, like maybe I'll go back and play part of it in co-op. But maybe I'll be playing Stalker 2. Maybe I'll be playing a bunch of other games. That's kind of the problem, right? When a game gets starts to get some time on it. But I don't know.
I mean, the multiplayer is really what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that it was good, and it is good when it works. But that's really what I'm going to be interested in the most. But I'd love to see the campaign.
When they patched it toward the end of the flight, like you were able to get a stable experience on your platform on PC.
Yeah, finally. But there's still a lot of concerns, still a lot of stuff that they haven't fixed, and I'm like, it's not going to get fixed on release.
Like what?
OBS has a massive issue with frame rates. Anything for streaming, you have to lock the frame rate. It also does it in a really weird way. It does it via your refresh rate. And you can't just lock it at a specific FPS. So I have a 144 hertz monitor. It'll only lock it to anything that is divisible by that 144. So I don't get 60 FPS locked. I get 72 FPS locked. It's very strange.
It's very, important to be able to, like, you want to cater to the streamers because they're going to be the ones that push the game and keep it on eyes for months on end. And they haven't given OBS like that support. You can't have it running, and otherwise you have it's weird. And then there's certain things where it's like you have to set the minimum frame rate to what you want it to be, and then your maximum frame rate to what you want it to be. So it's not like you can't just have no min. If you have no minimum frame rate, it can dip to whatever it wants. So it'll be like, it'll dip to 5 FPS, even though your maximum is 144. But if you set your minimum to 72, it'll stay at 72. It's very odd and very awkward the way they designed it. It just doesn't, there's so many. Does it feel okay at 72 though? Here's my problem. It feels slow. Here's my problem. And I don't know how else to fix this, but Xbox does not prioritize the game capture and share function. They put it on the controller. When I take a screenshot or record a clip on the Xbox Series X, the game audio stutters like it's about to explode for about 3 seconds. And on the Xbox One, they carried over the game capture function from Xbox One. And toward the end of the Xbox One and One X, this was becoming a problem, and they've just barely kept it alive. And the reason why this is a big problem, Alex, is if you don't make it easy for your fans to share clips or to stream the game or to show it at its best, they're like your biggest advertiser. Mm-hmm. And so if you can't use OBS, that's a problem.
Yeah. Or you have to lock it into some very awkward way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's causing more headaches than they need to. But yeah, I mean, I think Halo needs to have co-op on launch. That's just me. The way that game's designed, the way that game looks, what they're trying to do with it, it just looks like a co-op game.
Okay. I just remembered one of the, right now, ADD is great, isn't it?
It's awesome.
It's the best. You just get a special life. You just have superpowers. But I just remembered. Before we close, I got to ask you about ray tracing because that's what I meant to talk about when we were talking about Guardians.
Sure.
And feel free to destroy me because I have a really strong opinion about ray tracing. And you have an RTX card, so I think I need to be course corrected. I feel like, especially on console, but I feel like ray tracing is not worth the visual upgrade at the cost of performance. And the consoles are absolutely not even really doing ray tracing. Today, Battlefield 2042 put out a gameplay trailer sponsored by NVIDIA that showed the gameplay with RTX on only for ambient occlusion ray tracing. Yeah. Only for shadows, right? And when they showed gameplay, Alex, the frame rate went from 60 to like 42 or 38 or whatever it was. Did you see this?
My opinion on ray tracing is turn that shit off.
Yes. Like, is it one of the biggest, like, I don't know what the word is. It's like the biggest overblown feature that is, I watched the Cyberpunk footage with RTX on an ultra PC, like a $3,000 or $4,000 PC. And I've been played on the Series X where it looks kind of crappy, kind of good. And I'm like, I don't see the visual difference where I would want to play that game at 30 or play it at like, my friend who has a really good build. He's got I think he has a 3070. So he's got a step up card from you. Gaz from Game On Daily. He's like, oh, it looks amazing at ray tracing, but I'm playing at 40 to 42 FPS. I'm like, gross.
So the best example of ray tracing is in fact in Cyberpunk. And it's not even ray tracing itself. It's in the ray traced global illumination.
Okay.
That is, I think that specifically is the best thing about ray tracing.
You're talking about realistic shadows and casted colors of lights that bounce off of.
So really what it is when you have in Cyberpunk, there are certain areas where there's a lot of different colors and spacing and like neon signs and things like that. And they'll reflect correctly into the water puddles below you.
Okay.
Where they'll cast the right lighting on the walls next to you.
Global illumination isn't really ray tracing, isn't it? Is it like a form of realistic lighting technique? It's not actual ray tracing where it's sending rays and bouncing off and making shadows.
Those light sources will send that light and then they'll bounce off that texture.
Okay.
And that's where you'll get it. If it's done properly, then you'll see it that way. But
it's what makes Pixar movies look so good. But bingo. I mean, have you seen many games where the lighting looks realistic? Because the performance is ridiculous. The performance budget,
the overhead for doing that is just stupid, and that's why DLSS is so big. Because I can now have DLSS at a good frame rate and ray tracing. But then you look at it and you're like, well, I could just turn ray tracing off and just get the full resolution and frame rate, and I don't really have that much of a difference.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, make sure it's ray tracing. Turn that off now.
Yep. RTX on? No, RTX turn that shit off. Like that's my...
I mean, Metro Exodus has some pretty good stuff, even on console for ray tracing, but and that's at 60. Doom Eternal does it, but most of the games lately have just been it's been a farce in a way. And somebody in the chat said, where was it? That it's not really ready this generation, maybe next generation. Tech isn't quite there yet. I don't know.
I mean, even 30 series cards aren't handling it that well.
And those are expensive.
They're very expensive.
So I've got a good friend, Zocker87, who does an Xbox channel, and he plays a lot on PC. He bought I shouldn't say, but he bought an Origin PC, and he spent many Series X consoles. How about that? For this PC. He's like, I'm getting ray tracing 4K at 70 FPS in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, yeah, but imagine stacking up like 10 Series X's and plugging them all together and saying, look what I can do. You know? Yeah. So
just turn off ray tracing and look at the frame rate you get behind that too.
Yeah. I mean, 70 is
that
great.
Would be like 70 is okay.
You're such a frame rate snob.
I really am.
But I'm glad you're with me. Like no 30, a higher frame. Don't you agree that higher frame rate makes the game look better and feel better?
It does. It does. It helps animation. It helps
double the visuals.
Everything all the time.
You're getting double the greatness, like in your eyes.
Everything looks better. It feels better. It's ideal for that. Like frame rate is so important. People just skip over it. It's because they think video games are film, and they're not. They're not film.
I actually heard somebody say, you know what I'm doing is I'm playing Guardians when I'm in combat, I leave it performance, and then when I get to the parts where you walk around the ship, I change it to quality mode. I'm like,
that's rough.
Just stop. Just stop, because when you move the camera, it's just like a flip book. But
just leave
it. So yeah, Alex, thank you so much for coming by the show. Like, it's good to hang out,
Me, man. Totally, man.
And
Thanks for having me.
Down with the 30 FPS and no more ray tracing. Well, we'll stop ray tracing if we could do it. Yeah, we got a couple bots in the chat. That's all right. We have great moderators. Shout out to Happy Bomb for keeping the chat happy and bombed from the ridiculousness. But yeah, Alex, so I kind of alluded to it earlier on, but what's in the pipeline for the YouTube channel in the next day or so, or maybe tomorrow?
Tomorrow is a fanboy video. It's going to be on PlayStation PC. Got a couple going on there. Wednesday, Thursday, I'm not sure what I'm going to put on. I think there's another couple of games coming out that I have to do a report for. But those are usually the harder days to figure out for content. Thursday night, though, is Press Start Podcast on Kofi's channel. You can find that on my channel there too. It's a lot of fun. Friday, it's Halo with a Discord, so you can watch that. Even it's open game too, so if you want to jump in, you can. And then Saturday, I'm off, and Sunday is Stream the Series, where we do Yakuza. And then after a couple hours, we watch either we do a react video of either from a YouTube channel called Channel 5 News or Count Dankula, which he does like a Mad Lads, where it's a whole thing. So he sees the most insane people, and then he does an entire 30-minute episode about their life and how they became a crazy person or something that they did was insane.
Wow.
So we did one on the cult that happened in the 90s in Japan that popped sarin gas packets in the subway.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
doesn't sound like my kind of channel. I'm scared.
You'd love that channel, honestly. It's a great channel. It's really, really good. It's a great YouTube channel. He's got good stuff.
Harry Johnny with the $5 says, Alex, you always have PlayStation fans with pony vision to talk about. So
I do.
They're keeping you keeping you satiated so we can keep. When I go in your comment section though, I can't, it's hit or miss whether people are going to put me in a chokehold. But I always love watching the videos.
They're like, "What are you doing here, Cole? You're a fanboy too."
Pot calling the kettle black. Yeah, they always say that.
And you're like, yeah.
I know. No, I don't bash PlayStation games. Tonight, I kind of bashed Spider-Man, a game I absolutely love, for saying those canned animations. But I'm not a dummy. There are good games, and they're plenty to enjoy. And I'm glad we're all enjoying them together. But this is the XNC podcast live on the channel, so we are going to be on demand after this is over. Alex, you've been awesome. I've got your Twitter handle in the description. Here, I'm going to paste if it's still in my clipboard. I'm going to paste your YouTube channel. Go to his channel and hit the subscribe button, because tomorrow morning, probably 8, 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're going to have a video up. You're almost done
around 8:30, yeah.
Yeah? What time zone are you in? Eastern, okay, yeah. So first thing in the morning, we'll have a video from Alex, and I'll get to work on something as soon as I can. But Alex, thanks so much for stopping by the show. I kept you pretty long. You have a good night, and thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll see you soon.